Hello, everyone. Sorry for the background. I'm sitting in my mountain cottage during the epidemic. We decided with my wife this better place to spend this lockdown. Good afternoon, everybody, or should I also say good evening and good morning, because I see we have people from all around the world with different time zones. I'm Marek. I'm the CTO at the Software House, and I would like to welcome you on this webinar. We actually did the same webinar in Polish some time ago, and it was a huge success, over a couple hundred of participants. So we decided to share it with the rest of the world and do the English version, which my friend Andrzej will lead. So just as for the introduction, we as the Software House are hello from Singapore, hello from Detroit. Whoa, I see that we really have a variety of time zones here. That's very good. Hi guys, it's good to have this response from you. And so we as the Software House are specialized in the JavaScript, mostly Node.js and React. So it was obvious that at some point we started doing React native apps, and we want to share a couple of thoughts, insights about it with you. Is React Native really like a holy grail of the mobile development right now? This is the question that my friend Andrzej Hanusek would like to cover in this presentation. So Andrzej, take it from here. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Marek, for introduction. I will enable my screen. Wait a second. Okay. Now you have to see my presentation. Wait a second. Okay, so I think that we can start. So hi everyone, my name is Andrzej Hanusek. I am a senior front-end developer at the Software House. I've been working with React and React Native for over 3 years, so I think that I have some decent experience that can share with you about those technology. And few organization matters at the beginning. The webinar will be recorded and will be published on our YouTube channel today or tomorrow. So if you cannot watch the whole webinar, there is the option to do this later. If you have any question during this webinar, please use question tab in Livestream. Sorry for that. The webinar is quite long, so if I'm not able to answer for all your questions, we will prepare a separate blog post to answer for them. Okay, so now I think we can come back to the main topic. So 2-in-1 React development for web and mobile, which for sure this topic is a little buzzword, and you can find a lot of different articles about it on the internet. But I think that our slides can give you more value because we will share decision and example from the real project. To be precise, this presentation is mostly focused on what we can choose when we want to deliver mobile and web app simultaneously. In the first part, I would like to present some context of the presentation topic. So why very often we have to provide an app which will be working fine in the browser and on the mobile phones. Then I will present a possible solution to do this. And in the end, I will give you our approach in the real project. So let's go. So on the screen, as you can see on the screen, in the last 10 years, the way of consuming content on the internet changed from device perspective, which user used to do this. 10 years ago, we've been developing our great website with usage of HTML, CSS, jQuery. We supported Internet Explorer 11, and everyone was happy. Yeah? Now everything is different. mobile is the first user choice, and we have to care not only about latest Chrome update, but be mindful and after deploying new version, check if our app still looks great on this small iPhone 6s. Yeah, so really nice. I know that this slide is mainly connected with PMs and software architects' works, but we as developers very often have a big impact on, for example, which technology or framework we use to deliver some app or feature. So for sure, we should have this awareness about how average user consuming content on the internet. Okay, so maybe next slide. Few additional charts. On the left, you can see the device usage of Facebook users. It's interesting that almost 80% of users use Facebook only via mobile phone. On the right, you can see how it looks like in the other popular social media. So very often, like in Snapchat or Instagram case, basically when we have business to customer product, we can make assumptions that our clients prefer using the mobile or over desktop or laptop. In business to business products, still the most important device is a standard computer or laptop. But now it's very popular that we have a web app product without responsive web design, which is provided for the business clients. And we are trying to deliver some of the features from this app, for example, to mobile phone. Yeah. And our project, which I introduce later, is exactly that scenario. Okay, so let's say that we have this type of app where for sure we need to provide good user experience for mobile and web devices. And why we cannot just prepare two separate apps for web, for example, in React, because we like React, and for mobile in Java, Kotlin, or for Android, and for iOS in Objective-C or Swift, yeah? And of course, we can't do this, and that will be probably the best solution in terms of quality, performance, user experience, but it's not that easy. Go to the next slide and check why here. So on the slide, you can see a typical scene from the workshop with a client when someone proposed building full native apps. So native apps are great, but cost a lot of money. Very often for MVP, this will be an overkill. And even except MVP, there is little companies which can afford to do this in that way. And sometimes you can afford, but still prefer different solution. So why? Yeah, so this is the quick answer. So you can quite easily find a guy which learned Java 10 years ago, but have you ever seen iOS developer? Even in our company, we have this iOS guy, but I never got a chance to talk him personally. So maybe he's only a very sophisticated Slack bot. For sure, completing two teams, one for iOS and one for Android, of mobile developers will be quite challenging. And the second thing is you will have to separate project. So this will be a lot of things to maintain. And basically how we can solve this problem. Yeah, easy. We are JS developer. We don't only develop apps, we go to space and stuff like this. So two mobile apps wouldn't be a big problem for us, yeah. It's a little bit funny, but on the other hand, it's totally true. And there is always some solution for JS developer to develop mobile apps, like PhoneGap, Ionic. And in the last years, we even get more because we can create progressive web app or use frameworks like React Native or NativeScript. So yeah, so now the JS developer are in very good situation. And let's make the assumption that we like React and we want to provide an app for web and mobile devices. What options do we have? So there is a three potential solution to do this. Of course, every solution has some pros and cons, and the first is React.js with progressive web app. The second is React.js and plus React Native app, and the last is a React Native web. In next few slides, I will try to give you some context for all of them. So eventually should be easier you to figure out which solution can fit for your requirements in the project. Okay, so quick reminder, maybe some people still doesn't know what is progressive web app. So basically, progressive web app is a wrapped website which can behave very similar to the standard native app or mobile phone. We can add progressive web app to our home screen and then run it like a normal app, not website, just app without browser tools, frames, and stuff like this. Okay, so what are the main advantages of this solution? So the implementation is very easy, and we need only three things to do this. We need HTTP because service worker net encryption protocol to work. We need configure manifest JSON and service worker for our app. And if we use create React app, we get that out of the box. Yeah, so this is a great. In the manifest JSON, we can set all configuration, like for example, icon for our app, name of our icon, starting URL, a few other things. In service worker, basically, we can set all things connected with behavior our app when it's on the background. So caching strategy, handling push notification, and that's quite important because when you think about website, we assume that you need an internet connection if you want to use them. Of course, now differences between website and app are not clear, but for sure you should provide some value for your customer, even if we have situation where he doesn't have connection with the internet. Yeah, so you should remember about it. Okay, so more advantages of progressive web app. So most of phone APIs are handled by browser. Yeah, so we can use them in our app. So things like camera, push notification, and many others. And there is only a few which not already supported by HTML5, like NFC, geofencing, contact, SMS, MS, and few other minor things. So the situation in 2020 is quite great for us. But one important thing, different browsers can handle native API in different ways. So this still could be a problem that something, for example, with Bluetooth working perfectly fine on Chrome in mobile, but in Safari we have some bugs connected with this topic. Yeah, so still we have this in our mind that the difference between browser could provide some unexpected behavior in our app. Okay, what else? Yeah, instantly updates. So many of JS developers haven't any experience with App Store or Google Play. So maybe you don't know that process of releasing and updating mobile app is very painful. And I will mention about later. So when we have progressive web app, it's not a big deal for us, yeah, to release a new version, prepare a new version, deploy to production, and that's it. After refresh your site or your app, your users will get latest released version. Yeah, so this is a perfect scenario, and this aspect can seems not very important, but have big impact on cost of development and duration of feedback loop from your clients. Okay, so I think this slide is self-explaining. Only one app to maintenance. So maintaining only one app always will be better than maintaining, for example, 2 or 3 apps. Of course, that we still have to care about our mobile users. We have to provide responsive web design. We have sometimes maybe will be appropriate to provide different flow depending on which device user use. Because, for example, if we have a lot of tables, maybe it's good, disable these tables on mobile and provide a little bit different screens. Yeah, so that's important to think, but still we can do this everything in the one app. Yeah, so this is a big prompt. Okay, another thing, we can avoid App Store, so Google Play, Apple App Store, and of course this slide connected with the slide about updates, but this topic is much deeper. So users very rarely go to App Store to find something new to install. So the conversion of new apps in the App Store usually are not very well, and so that our progressive web app probably can have the higher conversion rate than the app in the App Store. Yeah, so this is important thing, for example, for e-commerce. Yeah, avoiding an App Store, and because installing the progressive web app is very easy. We just browser the website, we just get a pop-up to install, and that's it. Next thing is in-app purchase. So we don't have to share our profit with Google Play or Apple Store, because when we have a native app, we have to share 30% of our profits from content which we sell in our app. Yeah, so this is a big thing, and we have to count before deploy our app to the App Store. Okay, so that's all about advantages. What about drawbacks of progressive web app? So basically, it's not native app. Yeah, this web, because it's a website, and this website can look great on mobile, but has some of limitation. So limitation like lack of native components, performance, of course, sometimes, because for many use cases the performance will be good enough, but still building a complex UI can be really difficult. And in some cases, when, for example, we have a real-time application, for sure battery consumption will be higher than we compare this with the native apps. Okay, so we know now we know the pros and cons of this solution. So we can switch to the next. So why do we have only one app when we can have 2 or even 3? Why 3? Because one for website and one for Android and one for iOS. So we just use React and React Native to provide 2 apps to our clients. And a quick reminder: React Native basically share the same concept with React, so we can, state, we have props, we can use hooks or class component, but the main difference is that the React render just HTML components like button, divs, and stuff like this, and in React Native we have a wrapper on native components from Android or iOS. Yeah, so we don't have div or for example paragraphs. We have view, text, touchable opacity. So we cannot share, for example, UI libraries between React.js and React Native. Yeah, and the same with the style sheet. So basically, in React Native, sorry, we have some abstraction which is very similar to CSS, but still some properties are different, and so we cannot share our style sheet in CSS with between React.js and React Native. But of course, we can use, for example, JSS solution, so JS in CSS on the React, and for example, share this object between two projects. So it's possible. Okay, so yeah, so one GIF, and programming in React Native in the past was very painful, but recently we got a few very important release which significantly increase developer experience. So we get fast refresh. We got now we have got auto-linking native modules. Yeah, so now it's quite fun to develop application in React Native. Yeah, and the process of developing is usually very, very fast. Okay, so what about pros of this approach? Okay, so on the screen you can see GIFs from the React navigation library, and these GIFs present how the React Native application behave on iOS and on Android. Yeah, so we see that we have the same approach for example animate transition between screens on those platforms. Yeah, so this is a huge advantage usually, that the React Native apps are really, really close to the native application, and it's really hard to find a difference between React Native apps and the totally native app in Swift, Objective-C, Kotlin, or Java. What else? So performance is yeah, basically usually a React Native application performs very well. We have a lot of possibility to optimization, and even now React Native core team working on this topic. So for sure, in close future should be even better. So in React Native we have possibility to use native animated API. So for example, we can provide very sophisticated UI, and all the animation will be performed on native UI thread, not on the JS thread. So yeah, so usually the performance on the React Native will be very, very good. Okay, so another thing is that we can easily extend our app about native components. So on the screen you can see the situation when someone use the build modal from iOS 13. So yeah, so we don't have this limitation, yeah, that we can only use something from the browser. We can use built-in components from Android or iOS. And it's connected with the previous slide, yeah, the possibility of writing truly native code. So sometimes you need to write, native modules, and of course you need knowledge about Kotlin, Swift, or Java or Objective-C, but linking native modules with React Native components is easy and well documented. And so yeah, it's basically it's possible. Access to native APIs. So basically, we are not limited to browser integration with Fonts API. We can directly working on this API. We can use a lot of different libraries provided by community, but we even can write own implementation. But of course, we need knowledge about native platforms here to do this. Okay, so what about cons of this approach? Is there any mobile developer on the board? Yeah, so mobile world is complicated. Building, signing, integration with API, like for example notification API, fixing when something goes wrong on native side. Yeah, so all that cases are quite complex, and if we don't have any previous experience in those topics, it will be very hard to develop application in decent time. Yeah. So when we, for example, when we have situation that we have only front ends in our team. And we just think that, okay, so we just start React Native project and everything will be fine. It's not that easy, usually, not that easy. There is some solution to help to maybe to make this situation less painful, but still it's good to have some knowledge about mobile platform and mobile development. Okay, so yeah, review in the App Store. It's sometimes it could be it can be very hard because we have to meet all Apple and Google requirements if we want to publish or even update app in the store. And for example, Apple doing this process very accurate. So we have to, for example, provide user with user account, so login and password. Then someone from Apple go to all screens, check is everything fine, check it's all screens meet the requirements. So this process can take few days or even weeks because sometimes we just get rejection, and after that we have to figure out how we should solve this issue. So yeah, so sometimes it's very painful process, and we think that yeah, we are really close to release our app to production. It's not that easy. Yeah, so free apps and who will be maintenance those apps? Do we have enough money to handle of this cost? Because on the screen you can see typical hidden cost in the mobile app. And second thing is, do we have resources to test our app on the mobile device? Because sometimes on the simulator everything is great, yeah, but then you are deploy your app and things got complicated. So and sometimes even you cannot test some features on simulator. You need you need a real device. So the best situation when you have, Android phone and iOS phone, or even a few phones with this with different iOS version and different Android version. Yeah, so CI and CD can be very complex because in this situation we have at least 3 pipelines. Yeah, we have one pipeline for a web, one for Android, and one for iOS. And the popular tools like, I don't know, GitLab, or GitHub, or Bitbucket doesn't offer out of the box building for an app iOS. So we have to, for example, rent some Mac machine, or maybe we have to create own runner with Mac OS, or maybe, of course, we can use third services like CircleCI or Bitrise, yeah, but everything costs the money and time. So yeah, so it's a big topic, and there is something which can rescue us. So Expo, because what is an Expo? Expo is a tool or service for React, and in Expo you can build, deploy React Native apps without thinking about this whole configuration. Expo give you the access to device capabilities like camera, notification, sensors, and give you ready to use pipelines, and even in free plan you can build iOS or Android version, but sometimes you have to wait a lot of time to do this. Yeah. So Expo for the front-end developer without previous experience in mobile development for sure will be a good starter. But after some times, very often you have to eject this project from Expo, because for things like wrapper like this always have some limitation. So for big project, it's probably won't be a good choice. Okay, so we just saw this slide about pros and cons, the latest solution, and we're not sure we really won't go in this direction. So maybe we can come back and have only one app to maintain, and React Native Web is a good answer because using React Native Web we can provide app for mobile and web from one code base. So basically this is a reverse situation of the first solution. So in the first solution, our web app was a master app, and progressive web app allow us provide some additional feature on mobile. In React Native Web, the situation is totally opposite. So main target is a mobile, but we can wrap this up, and after this, it will be work on the web with some limitation, of course. So yeah, so on the screen you can see that we have 3 different devices. Different platforms. So iOS, browser, and Android, and we have only one code base, one component, and this component works fine on all those platforms. Yeah. So yeah, it's really great because one code base, one app, and we can provide very the app for a various devices and platform. And first thing, what is a cost of this? So we don't have HTML components. Of course that behind the scene, React Native Web wrap our component from React Native and then translate this components to the HTML components, like for example link, like button. But we cannot use this in our code. We have to use the standard component from native, like text or view. Yeah, so this is the very important thing. Second thing, and this is a good, because we can be a platform specific, so we can even deliver different component, for example, for web and mobile, or even for Android, iOS and web. So yeah, so this is for example, we can show something on the web and hide something on the mobile, or for example, provide different styling. Yeah. So we have this is quite good situation for us, because we can easily detect the platform and then provide a very specific user interface. Okay, so short recap advantages of this solution. So we have only one app to maintain, so it's of course good. We can share not only business logic like in the second solution, but even UI components. The browser support is quite is good, yeah, because we have even Internet Explorer 10, so it's perfectly fine. And this is a battle tested solution. It's maybe not very good known, but for example, Twitter or Uber use React Native Web on production. Yeah, so I think that now it's production already. Okay, so what about drawbacks? So we are limited on the web. We cannot build very complex UI, and some components from React Native doesn't work. Some don't work in the on the web, like for example modal or alert. Yeah, so this can be a problem for some developer, and this package can be behind for latest React Native release for a long time. So for example, that the React Native core team released a new version which will have a few major improvements, and still we have to wait to the update in React Native Web. Yeah, so sometimes it can be a big problem. A lot of another thing is that a lot of React Native libraries won't work properly on the web, because the React Native libraries which use native modules from Android from iOS, doesn't have this linking for web. Yeah, so you have to mock this, or you just have a problem with these libraries. Yeah, and for example, now we have this problem in React navigation. So we can use React navigation and some stacks from React navigation works, but still it's limited. And the last thing is that we need additional Webpack configuration. It's not very complex, but I know that now many developers, don't like doing something in Webpack configs file. Yeah, so it can be a problem. Okay, so yeah, React Native is only the beginning of our journey, because we have also React Native for Windows, and we can build Windows app with usage of React and React Native. And in the May, we even got a more feature, because now we can build React Native for macOS. So maybe it's a good time to learn a React Native, but it's only a side note. Okay, so 3 different approach, and what should I choose? Yeah. So I think that the best approach is that mostly for your projects, the progressive web app will be fine. Yeah. Like if you have, for example, newsfeed or e-commerce, this will be a good compromise between increase conversion of your clients on the mobile phones and the cost of development, mobile app. So I think that the progressive app should be a start point for when you want to provide a mobile app to your clients. But if you have very complex mobile application, and maybe your web and mobile is totally different, or for example your mobile application is real-time application, so in this situation I will suggest to select the second solution, because you don't have this limitation, and basically you can build very rich web application and very rich mobile application without any limitation. Yeah. So this costs a lot of money and resources, but still for some cases this will be a good solution. The last solution was React Native Web, and for example, we can take example of React Native. We can take Instagram like a good example of application where this will be a good to do this in React Native Web. So we have very rich mobile application, and we would like to provide some of this feature to the web clients. Yeah. So for a case like that, React Native Web will be perfectly fine. Okay, so what we choose, yeah. So our decision was quite simple, because we have real-time chat application, and we heavily use Firebase. So and the second thing is that our web application finally had to be very rich, and had to provide even an embedded web application on the top of other application. Yeah. So in a situation like that, the answer was quite easy, and we just decided to create 2 apps. So React app for a website, and React Native for mobile devices. Okay, and what about good practices? And at least we think these practices are good. So for sure you should start with Monorepo. So you can collect all packages in one repo, and so yeah, and it's easy to extract shared logic to the one package and share them between different clients, like you can see on the screen. So we can free packages, we can mobile packages, so it's a React Native app, we can SPA, it's a React app, and shared application with business logic types and stuff like this. So for sure, this have big impact of time of development and deliver new features, because you reduce the cost of switching between different repo, for example, upgrading packages from private npm and stuff like this. Yeah, so I think, and now I see that this is very popular in the community, in JS community, that many packages now are rewritten to Monorepo. So yeah, I think it's pretty great approach, and for sure it's good to have consistent linter coughings for all packages, and invest some time to coughing the whole repo, and for example set things like lint staged. Yeah, so when you want to commit a new thing, the lint staged just check what changed and run all linters for these changes. Yeah, so this can you protect against commit invalid code to your remote repo. And Lerna, of course, has some additional features. So it's very easy to, for example, versioning your app with Lerna, on publishing your packages in the npm if you need that. So yeah, so I think this is a great tool to handle Monorepo. And on the slide, you can see how you can easily extend your basic linter coughing. So for example, we have in the root, we have basic coughing, and then we can easily extend this coughing in the selected package. So for example, this is a package for React Native. So we have some additional plugin connected only with this platform. Yeah. So what else? So for project like this, I think TypeScript is required. Now in our company, we always start with the TypeScript, but in a project like this, it's even more important, because, for example, if you change something in shared logic, you just immediately get feedback from your IDE, that from TypeScript company, sorry, that something was changed, and you have adapt your UI components to this logic. Yeah, so it's a great and I really happy with TypeScript now, more happy than in plain JavaScript for sure. Yeah, so in shared package you can collect or common types interfaces, a share between different packages. So for sure this is a great approach. What about Expo? Yeah? So why we didn't use Expo in our project? So our project was quite complex, and for example we had 3 different environments, so we had to configure very this environment in different way, and Expo has this limitation about configuration. So yeah, so for project like this, I think Expo won't be a good choices. What else? So it's very important to pick the right libraries. There is a great blog post about it on the CalStack blog. So when you developing React Native and you use a Firebase, you can use just JS SDK or React Native Firebase, which are only a wrapper for native iOS and Android as Firebase SDK. Yeah, and in case like this, it's very important to use React Native Firebase because the packages, this packages is optimized to mobile devices. Yeah, so things like battery consumption or for example connecting with external API. So for sure, this library is much performant than simple JS Firebase JS SDK. And second fix, React Native Firebase provides a lot additional feature if you compare this with Firebase JS SDK. Okay, so the next thing is you should extract your business logic to shared package. So you want to have the situation where your components are really dumb. So they only show some data and started some action, yeah, and that's it. All the logic is collected in some abstraction, and of course you can use React context for that, or Mobix or Redux. So we just chosen Redux because Redux and Redux toolkit give you many tools, and you can easily reduce boilerplate, and still have all advantages of Redux. Yeah. So I think now that I know that there is a direction that today nobody likes Redux on the Twitter, but I think Redux still is a great tool for keeping a business logic in the one place. And Redux toolkit only allow you to do this even faster. Okay, what else we can share? So for sure we can share custom hooks in our shared package. So yeah, so there's a of course this example is not from our app because we didn't have a request in hooks, but still it's only show the conception of that some hooks can be extracted from your client app to the shared app and shared between those apps. Okay, what else? So what about don't repeat yourself? So it's of course it's good to find some abstraction and create shared, I don't know, component or maybe business logic or helper. But in situation like this, sometimes it can be tricky. Yeah. So you just creating abstraction which works on mobile and website, but after some time you just add another conditions and stuff like this. So yeah, sometimes in some cases it's better to repeat your logic, your component, because maintaining to this abstraction later will be very hard. Okay, and last thing about what we can share. So if you use, for example, JSS or styled components on the web, for sure you can share some themes, some theme like and theme properties like colors, like typography or stuff like this. Yeah. So yeah, it's possible. And in our case, we share translation labels too. Yeah, free apps, free environments. What could go wrong? CI/CD can be very hard and complex. So in this situation, you should invest some time on the beginning of project and create repeatable pipelines for all app, yeah, for all packages. So we just used Bitbucket pipelines for our web application, and for our mobile apps, we selected a Fastlane, and Fastlane is a great tool to, you know, it's really easy to create different, for example, lanes for different environments in very readable file, and then you can easily, for example, build a new application for iOS or for Android from your device, or even on the CI. And the CI is in our case is a Bitrise. So on Bitrise you can build iOS or Android app, and is a Bitrise. You can use Circle CI too. So there is some services to do this. Yeah. So in this presentation, I mentioned about it that update is for in the mobile apps can be very problematic, and of course our React Native finally are a binaries app which goes to the Apple Store or Google Play. So we have go through this process when we want to update our app. But there is a tool, like for example Code Push, and Code Push lets you update your app anytime without hassle or delays of submitting to the store. So this is basically over-the-air update, and your app can connect with the repo, remote repo, and check if something changed in this repo. If change, just your application download latest changes and refresh your app. So if you for example add new components to your app, you don't have to go for the full process of updating by store. You can do this with Code Push. Of course, if you change something on the native side, you have to go for the full process of update and deliver a new binaries to Google Play or App Store. Okay, what else? So for a project like this, it's really important to collect alerts about bugs. And now we have some different tools to do this. In our application, we use Crashlytics for mobile phones. So when some bugs appear in our application, we can get the whole stack trace from JS or even from a native site in Crashlytics. Crashlytics is a service from Firebase, and our web client is connected with the Sentry, and I think the Sentry is quite good known tools for doing stuff like this. Okay, so yeah, documentation is always important, even in small project. But in project like this, it's important because, for example, if you won't introduce someone new on the board, and you don't have good documentation about releasing a process of releasing a new version of these different apps, it will be quite hard to do this. Yeah. So, but one hint: if you, for example, using Lerna versioning with commit lint, and you keep the standard of commit, the documentation and versioning can be do it automatically by Lerna, and this is very helpful for provide a good and readable changelog what new appear in your app. So it's self-documenting process. Okay, so basically that's it about this topic, and now we have a few additional slides. So if you would like to receive information about upcoming webinars, I strongly encourage you to subscribe to Tech Keeper's Guide, our bi-weekly newsletter for CTOs, tech leads, managers, and developers who want to grow. Despite the webinars, you will find the carefully selected package articles on technology, business, culture, and leadership. Feel free to join on the newsletter. The next thing is that I would like to already invite you for upcoming webinar. Adam, our head of our Node.js team, will explain you how proper backend should look in 2020. Please visit following site to check the agenda. And the last thing, so in the March we published a report about state of microservice, report based on survey among the tech leaders. And so this is, I think this is very good, base of knowledge, how you should build your microservice, about pros and cons. So yeah, so check this PDF and share your opinion about it. And basically that's it. Thanks for your attention. But maybe I just switch to the question tab and checks. Sorry for that. Yeah, so we have some questions, so give me a second. Yeah, so Yarn workspace will work with React Native and Expo. It should work, but I know that there is some issues because React Native in different way handling or not even handling symlinks. So I think this Lerna is quite low level of yeah. So you don't need special knowledge to go with Lerna. So I think this is a good. Maybe you should try with the Lerna. Yeah. Okay. So any tips for using Fastlane for managing deployment with React Native? Oh, I have a lot tips, but I think that we should prepare maybe even separate webinar or blog post about it. So yeah, so I think this is a good topic for a next meeting. Yeah. So how you should prepare different lanes for different environments, and what can you add to this lane, maybe some end-to-end tests or stuff like this. Yeah, so this is a really good question, and I for sure we will try prepare something for you in the future about this. Okay, what else? Okay, what type of apps or app features you would not choose React Native to develop with? basically what are the drawbacks of using React Native to other cross-platform frameworks. Yeah, so now because now the React Native is very very popular, but Flutter is popular too. And if you want to provide very complex and rich user interfaces with many different animation, probably doing this in Flutter which be much easier. And so for very complex application with many different animation, I think the Flutter will be a better choice than React Native. Okay, so we run out of the time, so I think this is a good time to say goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye, and see you soon.